Closing in on the end of the first half an hour of the 90-minute SportsMax Zone for this Thursday, and we're discussing cricket. England sent into bat by West Indies on the opening day of this second Test match at Old Trafford, closing at 207 for 3. Dom Sibley's 86 not out, and Ben Stokes is unbeaten on 59 at the moment. They've shared in a partnership of 126 runs for the fourth wicket, and a partnership that has been pretty solid for the England team so far. There's your closer play score in Manchester. The West Indies, as I said, winning the toss and deciding to field. Roston Chase 2 for 53, Alzara Joseph 1 for 41, the wicket takers for the West Indies so far. But you know, for the most part, looking at the game today, the England batsmen, we know that they're in deficit here because they lost the first Test match and the series is beyond them at the moment. Well, yes. Certainly they're trailing in the series, but they didn't bat, in my opinion, with a lot of confidence today. A lot of the batsmen looked very nervous and lacking in self-assurance. And from that standpoint, I would say I'm disappointed that the West Indies didn't make more inroads into the top order of the England batting today. Especially because of the momentum we started with. Lance, remember, 3 wickets fell quickly. It's only the partnership between Stokes and Sibley that cemented this 126 runs. As I'm also, as you said, the word disappointed. I'm disappointed because of the drop catches. They drop Stokes. You know, people like this you don't want to be dropping. And I know going forward, I think they just have to forget all about this right now. Forget about it. It's a brand new day tomorrow. We come back out and, you know, we go again. Go at it. Another thing I noticed is Shannon Gabriel. He, you know, he had to come off the field. He's nursing an injury, and I feel like all these different things are affecting the performance. All right. David Brooke, you were there covering the match live. Can you talk to us more about the Shannon Gabriel issue? Because we know, as Mariah said, he was off the field for a while. The commentators did suggest some hamstring issue, but he was back on. Can you say conclusively what was the problem with him?
I think there were a couple of problems, actually, Lance. I think he had a strain, side strain and groin strain was why he went off first. But anyone that saw him move around the outfield today, and I use the word move advisedly, would say that there was a problem of stiffness and he was holding the back of his leg. Now, my issue is, you know, it's unfortunate for Shannon. Kemar Roach's pace was down, looked a bit tired. No less an authority than Carlos Brathwaite, who's commenting, as you know, and doing really well for the BBC. You know, he said that he thought the players looked tired, some of them, and particularly Roach and Gabriel. Now, my question, Lance, to Tino, I'll be interested to get Tino's view on this. If you bring 15 over, you've got 25 players over. Why put out anyone that may be tired from the previous game? We know these are back-to-back Test matches. You've got so many fresh seamers. Or you could have played Cornwall and given Gabriel or Roach a rest, you know, if you thought that there was any chance of, you know, that seems to be the observation that I would make, that, you know, they've got the luxury, West Indies, of a squad of 25. You know, you've got O'Shane Thomas in the reserves. Imagine bringing him in as a surprise package, fresh and raring to go. Because England will have 3 bowlers that will be completely fresh because they haven't played in the last Test match. It's a new attack. Tino, are you going to comment? David wants your take on the fact that, you know, West Indies not changing the winning squad, especially because the players.
Brooks, you're right. You know, it's all about innovation, and I guess if Archer didn't breach protocol, he would have played as well. So you're kind of like touch and go. I think that players gotta be honest as well with his staff, and I think that if Shannon was carrying any niggle or he felt that he couldn't get through back-to-back Test matches, I think that he should have said something to the coach. You know, and sometimes we as players, we kind of think that we can manage our own niggles. I remember I played a Test match in Bangladesh about 8 years ago, and my hamstring started to pull a little bit, and I kept it to myself. And you know, in the intensity of the Test match, it popped, and I had to go and get some injections because I had put my team at risk of losing the Test match, and we could not afford that. So I said, you know, I had to go and take 3 injections in my hamstring. Bowled the second innings, and I got my best figures that in Test cricket, 6 to 40. But my point is this: that players got to be honest, and you know, just say to the coach, like, coach, I got a low niggle, and I don't think I can get over this game. And I think the coach got to be honest with the player as well, and say, okay, thank you for your honesty, and pick somebody. So I think that is a real indiscretion in terms of Shannon's part and the coach's part and stuff, because we do need him. We do need Shannon, and if you're not going to start, we could have played Young Holder, or we could have played or Shane Thomas or something. But I think he kind of like put the team at a disadvantage of being injured on the first day.
Yeah. All right, so going back to David then, because David, to be quite honest, it's easy to say things in hindsight. And Tino made a good point just now about players being honest and so on. I didn't hear anything about players being tired on the eve of the match. It must, David, have been difficult for the selectors, the tour management, to change a winning team. They're 1-0 up in the series. They haven't beaten a top team in over almost 3 decades of international cricket, and they are so focused on winning this series that you have to believe that they felt they were doing the right thing by going with the team that got them the lead in the series.
Well, I'm with you in principle, but not in theory.
And
Lance,
Shannon Gabriel was one of the main reasons why they won the match.
Yeah, well, I mean, the analogy is with professional football in the Premier League, where you see this happening week in, week out. So I'm not necessarily surprised by that.
David, what about the performance? So I'm getting the fact that, you are for Shannon Gabriel, taking a rest if he is indeed extremely tired, because you feel like he'll jeopardize the game. What about young Alzarri Joseph today? He seems to have the formula in getting Joe Root out.
But when the West Indies are by no means out of it, just to be clear, it's still, as Tino said, the game's really nicely poised, and it's
definitely
in the context of a great series. But West Indies are going to be relying on 3 bowlers, I think: Holder, Joseph and Chase. All 3 of those bowled really well today. And I thought the day was summed up by the very last ball, Jason Holder to Stokes. Stokes played for the ball that goes straight on. It seamed away, just missed the outside edge. Last ball of the day, as if to say, and then he smiled and nodded at Holder in acknowledgement of a battle between, the number 1 and number 2 all-rounders in the world. They've got a lot of respect for each other, and it was great to watch. Stokes was really watchful. He never really got away, but he's timing the ball in an ominous way. He's looking at another big score tomorrow for Ben Stokes.
Kemar Roach, he has bowled 70+ overs without a wicket. That must be frustrating, right?
Yeah, I think so. The thing is, we're in slightly uncharted waters in that we don't really know how players are going to respond to a 3-day break. Because I think there's only ever been 4 days generally. So it's a very short break. And, Roach, one of my fellow commentators today, I heard him say that Kemar was grunting, with every delivery. I think it was Philo Wallace on Andrew Mason's programme earlier, St. Lucia, was saying that he was grunting more than Serena Williams with every ball, which suggests that every ball was an effort ball. So I would say then, hold on, Ray Reefer is on the sidelines, who took 5 wickets in a warm-up match. Shimar Holder is raring to go. West Indies, O'Shane Thomas is in the hutch. The West Indies have an embarrassment of bowling riches on this tour. There's no excuse for going in with anyone who it's suspect they might not last the match. Even if they're 75, 85% fit, let's go for someone who's raring to go.
Yeah, David, I would have loved to hear you give us your 11 on the eve of the match and see if there's any consistency in the point you're putting in your current narrative.
Lance, you've got me on tape. You've got me. You've skewered me. You've stumped me, as Boris Johnson would say, because you've got me on tape saying exactly the opposite of this, not 5 days ago.
Thank you.
No, I just think looking at him today, David, would have, obviously looking at Shannon in pain and struggling would cause you to change your opinions. And then, you are not close to the players like the coach and they are, so I can understand why you're pushing that point now, because coach would know, right?
Yeah, my interest was in John Campbell's toe. That was my concern on fitness before the game. I wasn't to know that these guys, I don't want to know Shannon Gabriel would be running off the field after 10 overs, or that Kemar Roach would be so down on pace. And I remember Tino pointedly saying about Jofra Archer being down on pace. Well, and you've also picked that up about Kemar. And if it takes one person to know about fast bowling, it's the other man on screen, Mr. Tino Best.
Yeah, and Tino, now that you're on the spotlight, talk to us about what you mentioned earlier on about the disappointment you're feeling with the Old Trafford wicket and how it is playing at the moment, and the fact that maybe Roston Chase may have to play a more important role in this test match than maybe we had bargained for.
Well, actually, Mariah summed it up beautifully. There was a lot of rain in Manchester, So obviously the pitch is going to be very slow, but usually it plays really quickly. Like everybody knows that. Going back to Kemar, about the whole Kemar, I've been watching Kemar in the last test match, and I know he's not as quick as he used to be. We all know that he's more skillful, and I thought he bowled really well the first test. And what was going to be Kemar, what I should say, a donger for Kemar was the quick turnaround. Kemar is over 30, so your legs get a lot heavier. You don't recover like when you were young, like 21, 22. It takes like 7 to 8 days to recover between test matches. For me, after I got over 30. So really and truly, Kemar is one of the guys that have to really get wickets tomorrow. He's under immense pressure. And I can tell you this, during the first test, I saw Shamar Brooks hog him up. And I could read his lips and he's saying, Snyder, which is his nickname, he's saying, Snyder, don't worry about it. It's gonna happen. And they know he wants wickets. He needs wickets to stay in the team. And there's so many young fast bowlers budding, Lance Amaraya and Brooksy, that Kemar needs to perform. And I can tell you this, if he go through this test match without a wicket, the third test, the captain and the coach can be very hesitant as to going with him. As to going with him, and he does not get the same, and he gets the same result. I think Kemar play might be in a little bit of jeopardy in terms of those young fast bowlers coming through, because at the end of the day, you don't want to go through an entire series, guys, not getting any wickets, and you are the leading fast bowler. So he's under immense pressure. So I know that Kemar is going to be digging deep tomorrow. And as Philo said, he heard a grunt. So he knows the effort is there. I'm not faulting Kemar's effort whatsoever. He just needs to get wickets to stay into that team and to continue to lead that attack. So I think really and truly after the first test, we know that Jason is the leader on the field and with the bowling unit as well. A little disappointed with Shannon. Shannon is one of those guys that I thought that the coaching staff would have been a little bit more cotton woolish with Shannon and more put him in cotton wool, like being honest, like, yo, I don't think that you could play a back-to-back test matches. Shannon is not a big fitness guy as well. Like, he's not a guy that is super fit. He's a big unit. So when you have those guys who are big units, they need time to recover. So I think that I wasn't tweeting or anything because, you know, when I tweet, people take everything and just make it into a war. So I was kind of waiting and just keeping my thoughts to myself. But I knew that Shannon was going to struggle in such a quick turnaround. Because remember, guys, originally he was not in the squad because of what reason? Fitness, guys. Yes. So it's very hard for him to come and play a back-to-back test matches. So that is a real oversight on Phil Simmons and the coaching staff. So I hope that Shannon can get through this match and he doesn't injure himself in the long term. That's all.
Tino, I'm giving you a little advice before we wrap. So what I tend to do when things annoy me is I write it down. I don't put it out. So maybe you can do that. Get a book and start writing everything you feel.
Nothing is annoying me. Don't
write
get me wrong.
it down, Tino.
Yeah, nothing is annoying me, Mariah. I just think that most of the times I mean well.
Yeah.
Most of the times I mean well, and people got this whole thing that
people don't get it.
Yeah, no. Also, like, I was this aggressive cricketer on the field, and people think that if I tweet is about aggression. Like, I'm a teddy bear, guys. Come on. Like, my daughter beats me, my son beats me. I'm a big teddy bear. Don't mind the muscles, man. I'm a softie.
All right, so we take a short break and we come back.